Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Is this thing on? All right. Sounds like everyone can hear me. How you guys doing tonight? Hope you guys had a nice weekend. Got our Sunday weekly candle analysis for you guys here. Getting started in about 45 seconds, but it's great to see you guys in the chat here. A lot of my regulars. Busy holiday season. Hope you guys have been good, man. Hope you guys did your Christmas shopping. It's going to be a busy new year. So, man, make sure you guys are being kind to yourselves so you can hit that new year, hit the ground running. And I'm here to answer all your questions that you have for the last 2 weeks of 2025. Isn't that crazy? Absolutely crazy, guys. So let's jump right into it. So I would say that out of all the signals that we're seeing, the weekly green dot is probably the most eye-popping, or the most like, what is this? Is this real? Is this legit? And this is usually a seismic bullish signal when we go into the past on the weekly. Usually a weekly green dot like this is a pretty solid bottom. But there's a lot of context, a lot of bearish context currently that we're dealing with right now, such as all the other macro time frames being very, very bearish. The monthly wave still trickling down, and the 2 and 3 month dealing with fresh blue wave momentum clipping to the downside on the 2-month chart and the 3-month chart. Let's take a look at those lifetime Heikin-Ashi trends here. Let's enable our smooth Heikin-Ashi indicator. Here we can see uptrend on the 3-month still intact, 2-month still intact. But on the monthly, we're seeing a critical pivot point potentially here. So, you know, at the very most, we see sideways, choppy, and at worst, we could go a little bit lower. That's what this chart tells me. Another macro thing I'm looking at, guys, is when we go into the new year, the most obvious draw on liquidity is going to be the current low. So, I mean, I could be wrong. It could rotate, and then the main level that's hit in the new year could be the high, but I would have to see a lot before I switched to that side of the, you know, to that bias there. In my opinion, I think that, you know, we're going to probably see some false hope for the remainder of this month, but in Q1, we see a revisit of this low. So right around this time here, you know, we'll get a couple more weekly candles, potentially even chopping up like this. Like this, you know. But ultimately in that new year, what's the best long entry for the whales? It would actually be at the taking of this low here, the Q4 low. So, you know, there would probably be a dump here out the gate of the new year, and you do get that lower price in Q1. That's something that I'm really anticipating. I am kind of expecting a little bit of, especially off this weekly green dot, I'm expecting fake bullishness, if that's even a word. Manipulation to the upside, if you will. That being said, while I do think that, you know, for the remainder of the month, this low could hold, this red monthly support, I do think that these weekly supports here are called into question. So, you know, we got to go into these smaller time frames here. What's going on right now is that Look at this, guys. We've got a weekly leapfrog. We just started a brand new week. The new week is starting out taking liquidity from the previous week. It took out the range already. And look at the move that we're getting. We're getting that fierce move back to the previous week's VWAP. You know, usually this move happens on like Monday, not Sunday night for us Americans here. It does seem to be happening a little bit early, though. You get this draw on liquidity, and then the move back to the previous week's VWAP. So I am a little bit short-term bullish on Bitcoin as we come up into these powerful daily resistances. It's a tricky, you know, it's tricky to tell you guys. This is another one of those streams where from this point on a medium term basis, I have to tell you that it could go up or it could go down, because here we are clinging to these weekly VWAPs, only a couple percent, not even 2% away from this week's VWAP or last week's. So it's not like we've ran super far from the weekly VWAPs and there's a big trade as the price snaps back, and it's just not one of those trades that's presenting itself currently. So what this current environment beckons me to do, at least, I'm just speaking for myself, is to wait for interactions up here at the weekly highs, or perhaps even down here at this prior weekly low. So going into this new week for the next couple days, I'm going to be looking, can Bitcoin get a retest, rotate to the upside, and get all the way up here to these weekly highs and reject again back to that previous week-to-date VWAP? That's a trade that I'm potentially looking at, is shorting these resistances here and just getting out right at that previous week-to-date right there. So that's one trade. Might even just be a scalp. Same with this long here. It might just be a scalp. But I think that this low, if we came up to the previous week to date, like tonight, and then started dumping tomorrow down to the lows, I would think that this weekly low holds and we don't actually test the monthly low until next quarter. But I could be wrong. But I would take this trade. I would try to long this low. If that gets swept, I would try to long that back up to the previous week to date. So these are my trade setups going into the new week that I would consider is, you know, if you come up and you rejected the previous week to date and we do come down like this, take that move right there. And if we rotate up and we actually climb out of these daily resistances and we do spike up to those highs, then I would trade that right there. So that's what I'm looking at on like the week to week. You know, these weekly candles have provided some interesting trading opportunities, and I can't tell you guys that I've caught all of them at all. It hasn't been the case. I've been very overworked, overpressured. I haven't been on point with my trading lately. That being said, just looking at the weekly chart, you see beautiful entries that if you zoomed in on the smaller time frames, you could devise a plan as to how you could have tackled this, and a logic that fits the logic that we talk about on this channel, which is you want to get in this part of the wick. You know, you see this previous weekly high and previous weekly low. Look at the amazing trades on either side of that weekly candle. Look at this one here. This wick was higher than that previous weekly wick. So that was another great one. So what we're seeing here is this tendency for session-based. Someone in the chat said a scalper's market. I totally agree. It's session based liquidity being taken, and it's not even like Asia session, New York session, all that stuff. It's not even that complicated. It's even more simple. It's just around weekly time frames. That's why, to me, entering trades on the weekend, you're kind of asking to get stopped out, right? Because you're the first on the chopping block to get slaughtered when Monday rolls through. Interestingly enough, here on the short time frames, looks like a little bit of a rejection at the first of these 3 daily resistances here. I wonder if Bitcoin can gain some traction on this week-to-date VWAP and get that weekly leap back to last week's VWAP. I wonder if it goes straight there. But a part of the discipline that I've been striving to exemplify is waiting for like actual powerful support and resistance. These big interactions, being patient for those and reacting instead of trying to guess what this new weekly candle is about to do. I think that's the play, guys, because we've seen it. I just showed you the weekly chart. At these moments where you take old support resistance, these are the turning points. It's like a big trumpet expanding liquidity trap, just traps everywhere. It's not manipulation, it's just people getting the best price possible, people with more patience than you and me getting a better price than us. And by you and me and us, I mean traders who are trying to force the market. So we've got a pretty big range here, guys. We got a pretty big range due to this massive move that happened 2 weeks ago about. Ultimately, guys, I do think that bulls could rotate up to the upside like one more time, but that's pretty much all they got, because what we're looking at here is basically like a bear flag. Something like that, right? And then you go into the new year. So you might get some bear flag, but ultimately in that new year, it'll spill over and you'll probably take this low here. Just because that's just where everyone who was bullish too early, we can't let them get out scot-free. So that's what new quarters do, guys. New quarters come out and wipe everyone out. When October 1 began here, we came up real quick and we wiped out all these people who were shorting. When Q2 began, we came down real quick and we wiped out all the people that were long too early. When Q1 came over here, we came up and we take the people who were shorting too quick. You get the idea, guys. You get the idea. So these 3-month candles, man. These 3-month candles, I wonder. Let me look at that chart real quick. I think what we should look for is a taking of potentially this candle right here going into the new year, or even the one that we are currently dealing with. These levels here. Let me do a horizontal line on these. So unless something crazy happens, and in the next 2 weeks we are rotated up closer to the upside, this I think is what we're dealing with, is going into this new year here. Just something like this. And then we get a relief rally. So where that relief rally goes, we could put a couple VWAPs up. We could put our Q4 VWAP, since that would be the previous quarter. We would have a new year to date VWAP, right? So it would be very advantageous to come back to this Q4 VWAP right here, which will be doing something like this. There you go. I colored that blue for you. So once the new year comes, which will be about right here, it'll look like it's going straight to that Q4 VWAP, but it's probably going to come out and take all that liquidity, then go up there and get that quarterly leap. That right there might be a major resistance. I'm just comparing it to a previous bull cycle. What happens when you lose multiple years of anchored VWAPs? It's not pretty, guys. It's not pretty. These VWAPs from previous years are currently sitting down at around anywhere from the 30s to the 50Ks. But this interaction right here is kind of what I'm looking at. This box right here is what I'm afraid might happen. Is the new year to date comes and you get that, you stop everyone out, and then a relief rally occurs, but it's once again another bear market rally. And yeah, you do get that back test of the year to date and stuff like that, but it's just not. The problem is once you lose 3 years of year to date VWAPs, it's just not pretty, man. So let's look at the year to date VWAP situation. So we've got 2025, 2024, and then soon to be 2026. So the weakest of these three is obviously that 2024 VWAP. So, losing this and the new year to date, that's a dangerous place to be. Just keep an eye on that signal for like potential further bearish momentum to the downside. And I also think that getting over all three of them could potentially be a bullish sign too, but we'll have to see. As for the actual downtrend itself, we're still in a stage 3 downtrend capable of a lot of downside, in my opinion. Like, this is stage 1, that's stage 2. Let's see. Actually, looks like we're just in stage 2 because of this pump here. So we would have to put a new one like right here. So we're currently like kind of reestablishing that stage 3 handoff unless Bitcoin can get over like 91K. It's looking quite bearish. It's looking like it's, it looked like it was already in a stage 3 back here, because we were getting the major rejections here, major rejection there, a lot of little rejections in here. So the stage 3 was already working pretty good as a dynamic resistance. But I think this VWAP is expired. I think that it's been manipulated around. The price is swiveled around it so many times that it doesn't really provide much meaning to me anymore. I do think that we've kind of established a new stage 3 handoff right here at this high. This was our monthly leapfrog, by the way, if we enabled our monthly VWAPs. This is a textbook move that charts love to do. As you can see, when the December white VWAP started, it went straight to that November VWAP there. So that was a beautiful move, and that was my justification for that move to the upside, despite it being such a strong downtrend. But now that that move is satisfied, I personally don't feel like there's much reason to call for more like insane levels of upside. Maybe weekly scale, maybe just going back up to the weekly highs only to get rejected again. But I don't really think we're going up much higher at all. And overall, it's pretty range bound for the remainder of the year. Yeah, someone in the chat said it's a scalper's market. I definitely think it is, man. I definitely think that if you just simply are patient throughout the week for these big weekly candle high-low interactions, and you just trade that, and you trade back to just whatever the weekly VWAP is, then that's like a really good scalping method currently. And it's a good one in general. Yeah, man, we got some OGs in the chat. Ricky Spanish, Bits of Wealth, Crypto Crank. All you guys in here, man. Good to see you guys in here. Yeah, man, I went over the short from the high, the long from the low. I'm kind of ready for everything, ready to react, mostly because, you know, we're at these weekly VWAPs already. We're kind of at a safe place in the chart. Barely 2% away from our weekly VWAPs. I can't wait. I can't wait for the next time the price is like 10 or 15% away from last week's VWAP going into a Monday, man. I can't wait for an amazing, obvious trade like that to appear. But lately, man, it's been a middle of the week interaction around weekly candle wicks. That's what's been going on. Is the Monday action hasn't been so exciting, but it'll be like on a Wednesday or a Thursday that the candle gets tested. And notice how we've just been range bound. Look at these 3-day candles. Look at these 3-day sweeps. Sweep, go back up. Sweep, come back down. Sweep, go back up. Amazing scalping opportunities here. Yeah, man. I have my CMT certification exam in like 2 days, man. I'm bookworming it up right now, but I probably am not going to pass it. It's a lot harder than I thought. A lot of extra crap that I never needed to become profitable, but I got to learn it anyways if I want that thing. But yeah, I got to like drive to this office near me and like take this 3-step test or whatever. Freaking I hate studying, guys, if you didn't know. I love teaching, but I hate having to study. Mr. 8 Luke Jake says, is there an announcement or video in Discord on the day, week, month, high, low indicator? I don't have an official video on it, man, but I should put it out. The reason why I haven't put out a video on this SR indicator is because I wanted to potentially put this in the Leapfrog so that it's all one indicator. I was kind of debating whether I wanted to wait before I did that to do a video on it. But for the time being, man, all these are for is to highlight things that I've already been talking about in my tutorials and on this channel for a very long time. Which is that, like, when a new week begins, yes, it does often go back to last week's VWAP, but you need a way to get the best price possible. Since we are leveraged traders, we have to be picky about price. Usually like the best entry for that is at a weekly level, high or low, such as here or up here. You really don't want to trade until, You know, it's like it may look like it's going to that previous week today and then go bam, slam all the way down, and then it goes up, you know? So personally, I've learned that there are certain types of movements where if those movements happen, every other trade on the board is wiped out and stopped out. And so there may be all these other possibilities that can happen, but if this one possibility happens, then everyone else gets stopped out. So I've learned to just wait for that movement to happen, which is taking of the weekly liquidity. I know it sounds obvious. I know it sounds obvious that you don't got to look at the Asia session, the New York session, the anything. You don't have to scalp on the, you don't have to be in the trenches on the 30-second chart. You don't even have to use the 4-hour chart. If you're patient, you can actually just stay here on the weekly chart. And the next time this candle takes like that red candle right here, just try longing it, you know? Or if it comes up and takes this high up here, like just try shorting it, you know? And oftentimes those are the best trades when you're reacting instead of guessing. These are the types of trades that helped me catch the top, man. Back at the top when we were topping out in beginning of October. Look what happened here as a weekly candle came through. The reason why this one was so dastardly is not only was there a weekly sweep, but also it was sweeping this high from the last 3-month candle. See back here in Q3. So when you go to that 3-month candle, look, you could have taken that trade without looking at any other chart. Just the moment we took this candle, you could have shorted. And I'm happy to say that in this YouTube trading community, we did take that short. We just didn't hold on to it. But this is my system, guys. This is the system that takes time and patience. And some weeks you fumble it. Some weeks you don't get a payout. But it's something that we're progressing on slowly, week by week. We're stacking that bread. We're making little tweaks and innovations as we go. But just remember, there's one takeaway, especially if you're like a new listener. It's like, forget all the noise, forget all the little ICT terms and all the flopping and groping on the 1-minute chart. And just remember that there's like very specific points in the chart that just matter more than others. And it's these high time frame liquidity events. And if you know what to look for, then when it happens, you're not flopping and groping. So you'll see this big, thick, red candle. You know, but your trained eye looking for that sweep of the previous weekly candle. You know that if you go into the smaller time frames, like the 10-minute, and you're over here at these highs, you know, you could come up with a little entry criteria like 10-minute, Heiken-Ashi, sweeping these weekly candle highs. Once you see that momentum candle with no top wick, this one right here, boom, there's your short. Put your stop loss behind the high. Where's your target? Well, if it's these last weekly candles that you're shorting, it's probably going to be the last week's VWAP. That same candles that got swept, that same candle's VWAP. Looks like it was just this support right here, so you would have taken your profit down here. A lot of you guys in the VIP were saying, like, I even saw tweets on Twitter saying, what is this price action, man? Like, whoa, oh my god, this is so manipulated. But actually what's going on here is that these weekly highs are simply just being respected. The top of the range, we come back up to the top of range, it's just another short back down to the target. So if you believe in weekly candle, weekly session resistance, do you see how you traded back to this previous weekly VWAP damn near 3 times. I mean, you could have maybe caught it this time, even though it didn't go to the top of the range, but you get the idea. Is like, once you have the bias established, the previous week's VWAP was below. That makes your bearish, that makes you have a bearish bias, but you need to short from the highest point possible, which is probably up here. Lou Jake says most of the instructors in Jason's group are using those weekly highs and lows too. I like how yours looks on the chart. Would be cool in the Leapfrog. Yeah, these are some of the most obvious, but also some of the most simplistic and effective SRs you could ever use. Just high time frame session SRs. Cryptos are just dead, man. Nothing's really popping off too much this week. It's like Zcash had a little pump, some random chains. Let's look at Zcash. Yeah, I'd look for a trade potentially down here or up here. Zcash is kind of in this like VWAP pinch here, so it's bound between weekly candle, weekly movement. It might be until the new year that it really sees a breakout. It's gonna take a while. We gotta let this one cook. Man, I'm down to look at NQ. Down to take a look at NQ. What is the ticker, man? What is the actual ticker that you want me to look at? Crazy, crazy unstable uptrend here. Daily money flow pouring out. You know, there's a lot of, I've seen a lot of 17-year-old kids thinking they can trade this shit. Farming other little kids, shilling their little referral links for Top Step and shit. I think that this might be a bubble that's about to come down, guys. But also, that's just my gut, you know. So on the monthly, still waiting for this to pinch over. 2-month chart. Still doing okay for now. No pinching, no big massive sellers yet, but I think it's got a relief rally coming for it, because it did just have this dump plunge into the quarterly support, into prior monthly VWAP support. And so I think that it's not going to go past, it's not going to go under like 25k. one of these, like this support's probably going to hold, or if not that one, then this one here. Let me go standard candles. Sorry, let me go standard candles. I think this thing's probably going to come back up tomorrow morning. It's probably going to come back up to the weekly VWAPs like that. You'll have a new weekly VWAP, and your previous weekly VWAP will be overhead, and you've already kind of plunged into some support here. Yeah, even though the money flow is coming out, it's not red yet, so it's got some fight left in it. Definitely got some fight left in it, man. I think that it's a little bit foolish to get too bearish too quick. I think it could very much hold this critical support level, come all the way back up to those highs around the new year, and you get a new year all-time high taking of that liquidity. People who are trying to be too bearish too quick, that's the problem, is people think they're smarter than they are. They think they can be bearish in November. The problem is that they're kind of easy pickings. When the new year comes, where are all the trades? It's up here at the highs. All the stops are up here at the highs from the last few months. So I personally wouldn't want to short this trend. It's a little bit yeah. People in the chat are talking about silver, man. Silver going to all-time highs recently. Very fun doing analysis around silver. Sheesh, man. I don't think this I don't think this trend really lasts past the new year. I think the new year is probably going to be the end of this silver rally. That's just my feeling, man. Once the new year begins, we'll actually probably want to trade down to this Q4 VWAP down here as it comes rising up like that. So this may come up a little bit more, but then it's gonna crash down like that, and you probably rotate down to those monthly lows and, you know, something like that. That new year's gonna come and be an issue for it. Yeah, I'll take a look at gold. Yeah, check out gold. Gold's going into the new year, forming these new all-time highs. So it's gonna, I don't know, to me, it is gonna form another high here for sure. Probably even a strong one, but you go into the new year very top heavy. Where's the year-to-date VWAP at on this? Yeah, no, I don't know, Crank. I think you don't need to try so hard to convince. To me, it seems like the time frame confluence, the fact that all these stops are about to get hit. This is a recipe for a major correction back down to the 2025 year to date. So I'd have to respectfully disagree with you, man. There definitely could be expansion to the upside for sure, but I would need to see it in the new year, around that new year to date VWAP. I wouldn't want to just assume that, because that's a major potential turning point there that you're riding up into. Yes, sirree. Awesome, guys. Well, I went over my Bitcoin analysis. I went over some of these other charts. And that's pretty much it for this analysis, guys. So if I see anything else, I'll put out a video update. Might even do a stream on Wednesday, since a lot of my stuff that I had going on is done with. I shipped out a bunch of merch orders to you guys. So once you guys get in the VIP, once you guys get those merch orders, tag me on social media. Let me know you got them. And much love, guys. Make sure you follow. I have a Twitter. It's at Flopping Groper. And make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe to the YouTube. And I'll catch you